Okay, you guys. Okay, I just got off work and I have to sit down and talk about this because the Vancouver Canucks have just acquired Hronek from the Detroit Red Wings. I am seeing a lot when it comes to this trade from Canucks fans. Both good, both bad, mostly bad, I'm going to be honest, but I have an interesting take on it and I want to talk about it because I don't think it's all bad. So the trade was the Vancouver Canucks traded their first round pick that they got from the Islanders in the Bo Horvat trade, their second round pick this year, to the Detroit Red Wings for Hronek and a fourth round pick this year. So obviously people are freaking out saying, why are the Vancouver Canucks trading picks? I'm going to tell you why I think they did this. I'm also going to kind of tell you why I don't think it's as bad as people are saying. Vancouver Canucks fans are freaking out because the Canucks are trading picks. I agree. I get it. Trust me. Don't get me wrong. I absolutely get it. Vancouver Canucks, a team that's kind of trying to rebuild or retool, shouldn't necessarily be trading picks. It does suck they're trading that first round pick. I was really excited about the first round pick, thinking that it could be a good pick. But now that we don't have it, I'm cheering for the Islanders. I'm cheering for Bo Horvat. Hopefully they go on a run. Let's make this as late of a pick as possible. The thing for me is this management's trying to retool. Okay, they're not trying to rebuild. Whoever we get from that first round pick or that second round pick, if they are to make this team, it's going to be in 4 to 5 years. Most likely, unless you just find an absolute gem, which obviously is possible, but the odds of that just aren't that high. Plus, don't forget, we're still probably going to get a potential top 5 pick. That's no slouch, okay? A top 5 pick goes a long way on this team. This team's not terrible, offensively, at least offensively. So they don't plan on rebuilding, they plan on retooling. That's where I think they're okay getting rid of the picks. One of the biggest things this team needs, the Canucks have needed for such a long time, is a right-handed defenseman to play alongside Quinn Hughes. A two-way guy, a guy who can play defensive, a guy who can also complement Quinn Hughes' play. I actually think Hronek is a decent person for that role. He signed for 2 more years at $4.4, I believe, million. I think he's going to actually do really well alongside Quinn Hughes. He's going to allow Quinn to play well. He's also not terribly defensively. Like, he's good two-way. I think he's going to thrive personally. So you give up a first rounder. Draft picks are always tough. People always value draft picks so high, but you never know what you're actually going to get from that draft pick. What we know we got from Hronek is a decent top 4 guy who played in Detroit, which isn't saying a lot because our team's worse. The Canucks are worse. But I'm just saying, like, playing alongside Quinn Hughes, I actually think this guy can kind of thrive a little bit and learn. He's only 25 years old, too, so think about that. Canucks are trying to retool because they don't want to waste Quinn Hughes in Petey's kind of prime. They're 24, 23, 25. I forget. I think Petey's turning 25. So they're like 25, 24 years old. You want these guys to thrive. These guys want to win. So you're trying to win for these guys. Like, you're trying to time everything to come together. So when the Petey and Hughes are in their prime, their peak at like their mid to late 20s, that you're ready to compete. And I think adding a 25-year-old who's perfect in that range can probably, hopefully, that's the thing that really matters, is if he develops into an actual number 2, I guess, defenseman, him and Quinn Hughes as your top pair. If he can be that guy and be solid, and he's only making 4.4 for now, I think it's actually worth it. Like, obviously, like I said, the prospects suck losing that. The draft picks suck losing that. But to actually get yourself a solid lockdown defenseman to play with Quinn Hughes, something this team has needed so much for, so badly for, I mean, it's worth it. Like, obviously it looks really bad, and yeah, they overpaid. But I think they overpaid. I could be wrong, but I think they overpaid because Detroit just didn't want to give up Hronek. Like, Detroit just signed him, I believe. I think they wanted to keep him. So the Canucks had to make a deal that they just couldn't refuse. You know, they saw the deal and they're like, we just can't say no to this. And I think that's what the Canucks ended up doing here with this trade, is Detroit just looked at it and they're like, okay, we can't say no to this. Canucks fans are confusing to me. The fact they think this team's going to rebuild blows my mind. A rebuild takes a while, okay? A retool can be like a rebuild, just a little bit different. A rebuild, in my opinion, is where you sell all and you rebuild from the ground up. Canucks can't do that. If they have Petey and Hughes, you can't rebuild while having Petey and Hughes, in my opinion. You just can't do it. So they have to retool to fit those players' timelines, which I think is what they're trying to do. They still got young with Kravtsov and Ratu, and still their first round pick this year, but they also got themselves a guy that fits the timeline perfectly, that I think can play well in a good role. So before the fan base freaks out about the rebuild, I bet you once Petey and Hughes are gone off this team may rebuild. Like, I could see it then. But as long as they have those two pieces, I don't think they need to rebuild. Think about how good the Canucks are offensively. You watch them every night, they're scoring 6 goals. They got to rebuild that defense and really work to solidify a good defense on this team. I actually don't think we're as far out as we are. Like, I genuinely am happy that we're doing so bad this year, because I could see if the Canucks make good moves in the offseason here, maybe bring in another defenseman or two, that we could actually be in like a decent spot, maybe back into, maybe not making the playoffs, but back in that middle ground, and then we could be making the jump. Maybe I'm just optimistic. Maybe I'm a delusional Canucks fan. That's just my opinion. I also love how every trade the Canucks have made, they're going, where's our defense? We need defense. Why aren't we getting defense? Why are we getting more forwards? Then we trade for a defenseman, and fans are like, what are you doing with the draft picks? Why are you trading draft picks? We don't have the assets on this team to trade somebody for a top defenseman to play with Quinn Hughes. The only assets we have that can make that happen are what we just gave away, draft picks. You're telling me you think we're going to be able to use Brock Besser in a trade or Connor Garland in a trade to land a top 4 defenseman? It's just not going to happen. If it could, it would have already. But clearly, it just can't happen. Nobody wants these guys for a top 4 defenseman, and it's just not feasible. So the Canucks did the only thing they can, and was trade some of their draft picks to acquire one of those needs that was so needed so badly that the fan base has been freaking out that they need. So I don't understand that from a fan base perspective. Like, what do we want as a fan base? This fan base is all over the place, getting angry all the time about everything that's done. Why don't you just let these guys cook, all right? Let Alvin do his thing. Let's see what happens, okay? Remember, we don't have Benning anymore. We got different people in head office here. Let's see what they can do. And like I want to say here, I don't think Alvin's done. Like, I think if he can then go and flip somebody, maybe trade somebody either now or even at the draft for another second round pick, maybe even a late first or something, then he can make up these draft picks. I think we have assets in our pool right now that we can potentially trade either, like I said, towards the deadline even more this week, or maybe at the draft itself. I think we do have some assets we can trade and accumulate some of these picks back and still end up having a pretty decent draft. So it does suck looking at this right now. Just, I think they will do what they can to replenish some of these picks. At least I hope. If that's the case, if they're able to do that, then I'm okay with the trade if they're able to replenish some of these picks. If they're not, I still think I'm kind of okay with it. I don't know. It's iffy. We'll have to see how he plays. Obviously, it was a lot to give up, but like I said, I don't think Detroit wanted to get rid of him, so they had no choice but to give up a lot. That's just my opinion. I'm reading just comments on this, and fans are just absolutely crazy. Like, relax, okay? I don't know why people thought this team was going to rebuild. The Canucks have never rebuilt. Even the GMs came out and said it's a retool. Like, the Canucks fans are just thinking it's a rebuild when the GM has literally said from his own mouth, he said it's a retool. Let them retool. Let them do it, all right? Let's see what happens. Who knows what's going to happen, but let's just sit back, see it happen. I've seen fans saying they're done watching or they're done being a Canucks fan. Relax, okay? This team needed a switch up. We needed some new players. Bolivier's playing good under the Canucks right now. Hopefully Hronek does. I like the Krasnov. Alvin has done really good things and have added really good assets to this team that I kind of, right now, I want to, what's the word I'm thinking here? I want to trust his opinion in what he sees in Hronek here and why he thinks he can fit in. I want to trust Alvin here. So I'm going to try to do that. I'm going to be one of those fans that's kind of positive about the situation, although it kind of does suck. I'm positive about the situation. I think it's going to work out. But let me know down in the comments your guys' opinions. Let me know what you guys have to say. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you guys are new to the channel and like the video if you enjoyed. More hockey content on the way. And I'll talk to you guys in the next one.